I've never seen anything like this. The audience at Trump's interview with the National Association of Black Journalists audibly gasps when Trump says that Indian Kamala Harris turned black. She became black. I saw the headlines before I saw the video, and I said to myself, there is no way Trump would be so stupid to go to the NABJ after polling 0 among Black Americans in Michigan and say something this ridiculous. But then we saw the video. Let's play it with a little bit of lead up. Unbelievable. And the crowd audibly gasping.
Follow up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir,
of
I'm
that.
asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But
identified as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think
that
somebody should
This guy's out of his mind. I don't even know if there is value in talking about the substance here, because as many of you may know, Kamala Harris is half Indian, half Jamaican. And when I was younger and worked at Circuit City, I've mentioned before that I had a Jamaican manager, and he would always say he doesn't consider, he says, I'm not African American, and that's what people mean when they say black. So I just tell people I'm not black. Now, there's a lot of history and scholarship around this. In a strict sense, Jamaicans are not African American, they're Afro-Caribbean. Now, some people use black interchangeably with African American. In that sense, if you're Jamaican, you're not black. But at the same time, for many people, black is broader, and it just means anyone of African descent. So you could be African American, you could be Afro-Caribbean, you could be Afro-Cuban, which would be a specific Afro-Caribbean, or some people say, well, Cuba's not really in the Caribbean. Anybody with African descent, or folks in Brazil of African descent are black, but they certainly aren't African American in the sense that they're not American from the United States. So there is a conversation there, but that's not what Trump is talking about. I don't know that we really need to focus on that, because what Trump's talking about is just the idea that, similar to how he has criticized Elizabeth Warren, that Kamala Harris is calculating when to play up which identity in a way that is nakedly political and cynical and craven or whatever. And I think that that's what this is really about. And as a side note, there is a serious media double standard here, because think about the weeks and thousands of stories of what we got after Joe Biden's bad debate performance. This is insane. What Trump said here is absolutely insane. And I assume it's gone from the news cycle certainly by Monday, if not by this weekend. And so there is a serious double standard there. But this is just completely whacked. And as far as Kamala Harris goes, listen, I'm Jewish and I'm Hispanic, right? I mean, I'm a Jewish individual, and sometimes I talk about anti-Semitism. And when I talk about anti-Semitism, me being Hispanic and from Argentina doesn't really relate to the subject matter. So sometimes people accuse me of playing up. Look at the YouTube comments. I play up my Jewish identity when it's convenient, and I ignore the fact that I'm actually really Hispanic. And then similarly, sometimes when we talk about the voting patterns of Central and South Americans, I talk about my family background from Argentina, and then people show up in the comments and they go, I thought you were Jewish. You're just doing... This is a common criticism from the right that's used to invalidate people based on identity. And I don't know that we should really play into it, is where I land. But what a whacked thing to say. One of our sponsors today is the new book by Dr. Bernie Mullen called Reimagining America's Dream, Making It Attainable for All. Dr. Bernie Mullen is the first immigrant ever to become CEO of a major league sports team in the U.S. He's held leadership positions with teams in the MLB, NBA, and NHL. In his new book, Reimagining America's Dream, Dr. Mullen uses his life experience to outline the top 10 social issues in the country today. And he just really concisely outlines simple, cost-effective ways to address these problems. Poverty, the income gap, creating a genuine opportunity for generational wealth, all within one generation. And his prescription revolves around an investment nationally in youth education. And it is a really fascinating series of ideas, combined with a national ethos campaign called PAL, P-A-L, which stands for Peace and Love, designed to help bring us back together as an actual united nation. All proceeds from Dr. Mullen's books go to the Aspire Difference Foundation, benefiting single-parent families with preschool children. Pick up your copy of Dr. Bernie Mullen's new book, Reimagining America's Dream, today at davidpakman.com/dream.